There's a man atop Mad Tree Hill. He stands quiet and still, and the world thinks that he's ill, that he's mad, but he's just so very sad. There's a man at the Rivertown pier. He wonders how he got here, and dreams of a life at shore, though he's not certain that he'd like it anymore. The Isle of the Poor. Oh, the misty mornings on the Isle of Elmore. There's a girl at the local library. She finds this island awful scary, so she reads tales of love and fiction to try and escape this god-awful friction. Sits on an old bar stool and has a drink alone. For when she returns, there will be nobody home. The misty mornings on the Isle of the Poor. Oh, the misty mornings on the Isle of Elmore.
Dravin, thanks for coming out and doing the podcast, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. I think the first show I saw might have been the rooftop.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe not. Did you play in Art Space at all? Like any of the?
We did Music with a Cause a couple times, but that would be the only in-house thing we did.
Okay, maybe you've just seen some videos or something, but really like your playing, really like your songwriting.
Thank you.
And wanted to have you on, play a song, talk about it, man. So you wrote that song. It's fucking awesome.
Thank you.
And how'd you write it, man? What's your process? What inspired you?
Yeah, so that one actually, it was off the first little solo album that I put out. So it was recorded pre me meeting the Ravens, and so it would have been probably roughly 2021, so a couple of years ago now.
Okay.
But I remember the first like lyrics, the Mad Tree. Like I mentioned Mad Tree Hill and then the River Town Pier. But in the case of that, when I had the guitar part, I was just playing it, strumming it in my room on my little acoustic guitar, and there was a glass sitting in front of me. It was like a little like festival cup, like plastic cup, and it had the two breweries on it, Mad Tree and Rivertown. And so I was just reading off of that, and I got some words from there, and then just kind of spiraled from there, trying to create a little world and capsule a little island there.
That's awesome, man. I've noticed I really like your sense of melody. You write hooks. That's hard.
Yeah.
I've been playing for a long time, and I've only semi-successfully, I think, wrote one song, which I haven't showed many people, but it's like, you come up with a hook.
Yeah.
Like it had a good hook, and since then, I haven't had one. Who are the influences that you draw from when you write those?
Yeah, so early on, it was a lot of Beatles.
Okay.
Especially that first year of my songwriting was primarily Beatles, Paul McCartney solo work. And then
He's my favorite Beatle.
Heck yeah. He's the best. But no, I love Paul and the Beatles, and so that's how things started. And then from there, I kind of I started shifting into Jack White more and more.
I can see that.
So I really love his stuff, especially that's influenced a lot of my electric playing and things. And more recently, I've been taking a lot of influence from kind of the 90s ironic rock kind of stuff. So Cake.
There you go.
And then Ben Folds is a major writing influence now. Probably the largest lyrically. Ben Folds and Cake are the big two. But outside of that, Jack White and the Beatles. Those would be the main four there.
That's cool, because when I'm listening to it, I'm hearing... So one of my friends that I used to play with, I hear like a lot of melodically what he would do. I really appreciate that. He's no longer with us, but it was really cool to hear songwriting like that again in you. And I'm hearing like, when I'm hearing your stuff, like I'm hearing influences from Keane. Even though maybe you're not listening to them much.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with them myself.
I'm hearing like Radiohead stuff.
Okay,
like,
yeah. I've never delved too deep into Radiohead. There's a few that I have in my playlist, but haven't gotten deeply into them yet.
And I also think that's cool, because there's probably a lot of stuff you haven't heard. You're only 20.
Oh, yep.
Which blows my mind again. So you're like, yeah, this song that I wrote, I was like 15 when I wrote it. I came here and played it for you. Fucking hate that. But yeah, it's I feel like that it's interesting how you stumble across things that other people stumble across.
Yeah.
Like I've found that with my guitar playing. I had no clue what shoegaze was. I just knew that when I was young, I liked clicking on every pedal that I had.
Oh, yeah.
And just like making a wall of sound. Apparently, that's something called shoegaze.
Yeah. Just kind of stumbled into
it. But I didn't know about all the 90s shoegaze bands like Slow Dive and My Bloody Valentine. Found those guys later, and it was like finding a friend.
Yeah, and that's like that's where I kind of started finding my niche. Was like I was writing a lot of story-driven lyrics, and I did have, not so much in that song, but there's bits of humor throughout. And then when I found I had listened to Cake and Ben Folds unknowingly growing up. They were just whether it was the Over the Hedge soundtrack, which Ben Folds wrote, or my dad was a huge Cake fan as well, Cake and Ben Folds. But so it was around, but I didn't know what it was. So then when I found him again, I was like, oh, here we go. This is kind of in line with what I'm trying to make, what I'm trying to, at least lyrically.
Do your parents play music?
My dad does. Yeah, he's a bassist in a cover band called Caffeine. But
cool.
He's always been kind of a poetry. He's written poetry, and and plays the bass. So I've taken some influence from him definitely as well. And then my mom, she does art primarily, so painting and photography, but nothing in the musical world. But definitely some of her influences ended up influencing me because, I think she was the first person to play the Beatles for me, and then although it's not very apparent in my songs, My Chemical Romance is a big influence on me as well. So that was her like favorite band for a long time.
Really, your mom's favorite band was My Chemical Romance?
Yeah. Her and my aunt absolutely love My Chemical Romance. So I was really happy I got to see them when they came around on tour because it was like kind of a full circle moment. But yeah, kind of one of the hidden influences in my stuff would be them.
So, I mean, do you listen to a lot of the early 2000s kind of screamo?
Not really, and that's why it's such like an outlier within everything else that I listen to. You know, I've got a lot of that early 2000s garage rock, some of that, again, like that 90s kind of ironic stuff, some classic rock, but not a whole lot of emo, not a whole lot of anything from that genre. But My Chemical Romance, I love them.
They're great. I don't know. I'm starting to feel my age a little bit, which is I'll be 38 at the end of this month, and it's really weird because I started out playing guitar, started a punk band, so this is like 90, 98, 99. My friends get together. We really like the Suicide Machines. Tony Hawk Pro Skater was coming out.
Yes.
Like we were into all of those, and I think I'm starting to understand what my friend's dad was feeling because this dude was awesome.
Yeah.
So the whole basement, he was really into hair metal, and he was a bass player, but like the dude went to the pawn shop and just went wild. Like we had 2 Marshall full stacks in the basement. He had this epic like Trace Elliott bass rig. Since he was like an 80s hair metal band, he bought 2 like Pearl Forum drum sets and put them together instead of just buying.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. You don't need a double bass pedal. You need 2
drum
sets.
Yeah.
PA and everything. And we would get together and practice and write songs. And he would come down. He'd be like, "What are you doing?" Because we're doing the ska punk stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then, we're trying, I think like over a couple of years, we tried to venture towards like some hardcore or something. But he was just like, "You guys, like, this is terrible. I don't even know why I bought Marshall full stacks for you guys. I should have bought you guys
this with it.
Fenders. And then why are you singing like this?" And then he would try and sing like Iron Maiden or something. Like, "You need to write a song like this." And we're just like, "Oh man, that sucks." I mean, fortunately, I'm not looking at a lot of new music being like, "Wow, that sucks."
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, there's a lot of good groups out there, and that's what I've seen too. Like when I first started, I felt kind of alone a little bit, in the music space because I was brand new to it, and but then as I started playing around Hamilton and Cincinnati, the more I started realizing that there's a lot of great groups out there, and it's really cool getting to meet them and getting to play with them, and we're all influencing each other, so it's a really cool community that's been built up.
It has been cool, and I like seeing bands like yours pop up into it because I feel like we're blessed with really good blues bands.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood, and it's cool to see some diversity. I had Aaron Northcutt on the last podcast, and him and Ty are doing really cool things.
Oh yeah.
And then Ty's doing, her 5 other bands.
Yeah. I got to see Onifont. Then they played with us at the Burrito Fest pre-party, and that was it was great getting to see them. I mean, that's a great group right there. And again, typically not like my genre of music that I'm hanging around, but it was great to see, and I mean, some really great music being made there.
And they're great musicians. I don't want to say I don't get the chance to play out because I probably could take it, but I don't know. I hit up Aaron. We went to an open mic jam, like probably back in March or something like that, and it was probably one of the best jams I ever had. Had Ty on bass, had Paul on keys. This dude named DH was filling in on drums. He was great, I think. And strangely enough, I think he plays in gospel groups most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he showed up to that, and it was Aaron, and I had some musical goals. I'm like, before I'm 40, I need to have some shred under my fingers. I've been playing for like 27 years. A lot of my playing was backing up singer-songwriters, creating more atmosphere and melody lines than really just like going after it with guitar solos, which is more tasteful and you get more gigs that way. But just for my own personal fulfillment, like I want to be able to pull off the
shred.
Yeah. I need a sweep pick.
Exactly. I mean, it's an instinct within all of us. We have to do it. Yeah.
And man, yeah. I mean, lessons with Aaron really fixed a lot of my approach. I was very much in the blues box, and like he said a couple things to me, like, hey, it's where you start and where you end. Just don't end on a bad note.
Yeah.
And that really opened my mind up to start understanding more fusion players, and just like being free and not focusing so much on your solo while you're soloing, but just being more musical with it. Like if you want to go somewhere, just go somewhere. Don't think about if it's in the right key. You'll find out, and you're only half a step away from
getting into the right one. Yeah.
Anyway, I forget where I was going with that, but
we were talking about the community. That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about the variety that's popping up in our community.
Yeah. Like you said, very like again in Hamilton right now, very blues centric, but you're getting these nice, groups popping up that are adding a lot of diversity, and I think that there's something really special going on, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, and even like branching off the blues thing, Miles Band playing with Don Pruitt.
Yeah, Don Pruitt. Yeah,
I saw them play.
Fantastic songwriter, fantastic group.
Jesus Christ! Like, okay, so they played. They did a cover of "Down by the River," Neil Young, and it was so epic. And it brought me back to this time in high school. I was hanging out at a coffee shop, and there were these like two old dudes. Like, I even think they were wearing like their mechanics work shirt. Like, they just got off work, they grabbed acoustic guitars, and they came to play a gig in town. And it was the first time I heard that song "Down by the River," and I'm like, man, this song's freaking great. Like, and they did it just as well as Neil. And then I kind of got to relive that moment, listening to Don and those guys do it in their own way. It was exciting, and they really encapsulate that old outlaw country.
Yeah, that's what I like about. I mean, they've got like you said, that kind of outlaw country, but and they've got their own flavor to it that I really like what they're doing.
And I really like that there's shows where there's you guys, Anafont and Don Pruitt, all at the same place.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was coming up, they didn't mix genres that much.
Yeah.
Like, it was the stuff I was kind of playing was like more in the Brit pop, like Coldplay, Radiohead kind of niche. And when we would get paired up with like a harder rock, like Nobody Liked Us, or the other way around, and
and that's what's been weird, like with Dravin and the Ravens, like my main project right now. With that band, it's really wild because, again, I started out very much like Beatles kind of, and then more like, indie, garage rocky kind of stuff. But very quickly, once we entered Cincinnati, we started getting thrown onto like punk bills. And I was like, I don't know how they're going to react to this, but they've loved it. I mean, and that's been so weird, is that we've got something now where we can play to like my grandma and then like the hardest rock like punk crowd, and somehow both like us. It's very bizarre, but I love it because I mean it's even more people you get to talk to. I mean I love being a part of all the little communities that are around, and but yeah, like you said, multi-genre shows. Those are awesome because you get to see groups that you probably would have never seen otherwise. I mean, we got to play a show with Don Pruitt at the Comet, and I mean, just some. I think I didn't get to play it, but my drummer got to fill in for Don Pruitt at Smorg Fest, and like there was a festival down at Southgate House, and that had so many bands that I would have never thought could go together playing together, and it's just cool to see stuff like that.
Have you played Southgate House?
We've played the upstairs room.
Okay.
So not main stage. So my drummer beat me there with that one because when he played with them. But no, we got to play upstairs, and that's a really cool space too. That was a more punk centered bill, but punk garage rock kind of stuff. It was fun. Paper Earth, they're a great group out of Cincinnati. Los Chicos. Those are the two that I'm forgetting the other two that were on the bill. It was a big bill, but
okay.
But those two are some of the ones we encounter more often, and they're good friends of ours. So, but yeah, that was a fun time. I love Southgate House. I can't wait to get in there some more in the future.
I've played the Parlor.
Ooh, okay.
When we first walk in, me and some college buddies did that, and then the main band that I played with, we played the main stage.
Yeah.
And have you ever met John Gentry? Plays it in too sometimes. He's got the really long dreads.
I don't know if I have or not. I don't believe so, but I could be blanking.
Yeah, he's a monster player. He told me he'd come on here and do this. I'm
Yeah.
gonna hold him to it.
Yeah, get him on here.
But I met him at Southgate House. Probably the first time I played the main stage at Southgate House. And that was really cool because I think I was like 18 at the time. I was all nervous. I'm around like real musicians.
Yeah.
I don't want them to they didn't treat me like I didn't know what I was doing, even though I didn't at the time. Like they accepted me and brought me in, and thankful for that. And gosh, what other I never got to play Northside Tavern.
Oh, really?
Or the Comet. Strangely enough, the band that I was in, they said we were too pop at the time.
I see.
Everybody that was playing there was which too pop doesn't make sense, even though they're like, they let the Greenhorns play, and that's Jack White. And
we've gotten to play the Comet a few times. I love the atmosphere there. It's a cool vibe. And then Northside, I think's got probably the best stage sound setup of the scene by far. I mean, every time I play there, it's like, I can hear everything I'm saying. It's great.
Strangely enough, like the best sound guy I've ever had, I think his name was Chris. Maybe. I don't know. He was the sound guy at Mad Frog.
Okay.
I hate the Mad Frog. I was so glad when it closed.
Yeah, I'm like, I never even got the chance to step foot in the door. It was gone.
It was nasty. The owner was a garbage human. But, dude, the
Good
ran
sound.
sound there, like, it was perfect every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think best sound we've had was Northside, Legends Bar and Venue in Cheviot. They've got a really good sound. And then Southgate House. Those are probably the top ones. They've got some great sound guys.
Southgate House was awesome. So when I played there, we start playing a couple songs. I'm like, my guitar sounds so weird. What's going on? And I didn't realize till like the third song that I had left my wah pedal on.
Oh,
because I went to use it and I turned it off. And it sounded like it's supposed to.
Yeah, I just did. I recently got a wah pedal for the first time, and I reconfigured my pedal board over the weekend, so now it's in a better spot. But I was playing. Where were we? Oh, I think it was for Wit Fest, which we just played a couple weeks ago, which was a house show, big house show. But when we played that, I think it was there. The wah pedal again. Haven't gotten too familiar with it yet, but I'm getting there. And I accidentally clicked it on and I couldn't get it off for a second, so I just had to play through part of the song with the with the wah still stuck on, and then I was able to slap it at a good point to get it off. But it was like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
I think they make a pedal that's like a cocked wah.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's a mistake,
Hey, it's a choice. It's
they
a choice
design a box
that can do that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like now on my board I've got the wah pedal, and then I also have the Spatial Delivery by Earthquaker, which is like an envelope filter auto wah sort of
I have
thing.
that pedal.
Yeah, I love that thing. So I can't get rid of it, even though it kind of does they both kind of do the same thing. It's different enough where I'm like, I have to have this.
Totally. It has like a random setting, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just call it the beep boop mode.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I love it.
Well, that, and you sing and play. So in a situation where you're singing and playing,
Yeah,
you
you
probably
can
don't want to be messing with a wah pedal manually.
Exactly. Like I pretty much the only time I'm using the Spatial Delivery right now is for we have a song that we recently put out. It's called Savior, and I use it for that, and it just has such a crazy sound. So I don't want to be messing with the wah pedal. I just want to click it, and there it is for the solo. So, and that helps me transition faster between different parts of the songs too. So it's nice to have, although the board's starting to get a little buzzy. So I think we'll have to chip in and get a power supply here soon. That isn't a one spot chained together,
Yeah, I still use it's the Voodoo Labs thing, but I've had it forever. I've had it for, well, who fucking cares how long I've had it? It doesn't matter. But I've had it a long time. And they've come out with really great power supplies since. Like, well, I even think One Spot has like they've sort of brick.
Yeah, they've got a brick. I've been looking at I don't know. Ernie Ball made one that's pretty cool. It's like a little guy. I don't remember what it's called, but I think just like Volt or something. But it's nice and compact and can just slide up under the board. I've been eyeing that one, but we'll see.
I really like the Ernie. I just got him the Ernie Ball patch cables.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
flat.
Mm-hmm. That's what I use on my board almost exclusively. I'm trying to switch them all over, but you can just, I don't know why, my pedal boards have always been like really small suitcases, and so everything's very tight and very compact. So those Ernie Ball cables are great because you can just squish them, and that's helped save a lot of room to continue my pedal hoarding on the board, so I don't have to pick which one goes off. I can just keep them all.
I used an old suitcase. That's a cool flex.
Yep. I love the suitcase. And then my drummer's dad, he had built, like, I had been using this little suitcase forever, and it would always shut on me. The hinges were very weak, so it would just fall right over in the middle of a song. I think Miles was actually there when I did my second open mic ever, and I went to hit a pedal, and then the board closed. So then he, like, ran up to the stage and opened it back up. But eventually, just not that long ago, my drummer's dad, he likes to build stuff. So he just had built this pedal board out of a suitcase, and he was like, "You want to try it?" I was like, "Absolutely." So now it's my main thing because it just the lid just folds and clicks off, so I can go set it somewhere else and keep the base of the board. It's much less cumbersome now.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So, like, what other pedals are you using? What's your main signal chain?
My main stuff right now. So, my main bread and butter pedal that's gonna be on everything is the Earthquaker Hoof.
Yeah.
Fuzz. I love that thing. It got me into pedals pretty much. So I can't beat that. I love that thing. Then I've got the Grand Orbiter phaser. Also I'm a big Earthquaker guy, but that's because also Third Street Music is a dealer, so I always see it on the wall, and I'll go try it out, and then I want this. But that then the Spatial Delivery, the Dunlop Junior Wah, which I like because it's not as small as the Mini, but it's not as big as a normal one, so it's like the perfect size. And I skipped the Atreides, which is the most insane thing on the board by far. It's kind of like a micro synth.
Okay.
For a guitar, it just does the craziest sounds. I mean, it's even called like a weirding module, but it's by Way Huge.
Okay.
That thing's nuts. If you ever see it at like if you ever see it at a Guitar Center or a local shop or anything, definitely try it out because you can get crazy sounds out of that thing.
Is it different than the data corruptor? Because I have one of those.
It is similar. It's similar, a little less. It just has sliders, but it's giving you a similar sound. So I love that thing for solos because you can get real crazy with it. And then I used to use a Morning Glory overdrive. Now I don't have an overdrive on the board because I wanted weird effects. So, I mean, I've got like a little boost pedal on the amp that I kind of use as a semi-overdrive or something. But even the fuzz, I don't like super fuzz out, so it can kind of do that job.
That hoof's so versatile.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then my most recent acquisition was the Triple Graph by Third Man and Copper Sound. It's awesome.
Is that the thing with the?
Yeah, it's got like the little telegraph stutter.
Yeah.
But Copper Sound makes an individual one that's kind of like it's just a kill switch.
Oh, okay.
And what this was Jack White got a hold of one of those, and he was like, I have this idea. So he brought it to him, and what they've made is it's got 3 of those, and one is an octave up, one is an octave down, and then there's an effects loop in the middle that you can stick another pedal in. And you can either lock it, so you can just hit it like a normal pedal and it stays on, or you can do intermittent, so you can just tap it like the telegraph. And I just got that a couple days ago, and the possibilities are insane on it. Because I mean, the whammy would always kind of overwhelm me even a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was always very big, so it fell off the board eventually. But then this guy is a little bit more compact. I can get the up and the down going at the same time. It sounds huge. I love it. And then right now I need to find a better spot for it, but the Dispatch Master is currently plugged into that effects loop and like stored under the board because I've run out of room now. So I can tap that middle telegraph thing, and then it'll turn the reverb on for a little bit.
Oh, that's cool.
So a lot of possibilities there with being able to intermittently turn on an effect. But yeah, the Dispatch Master and the Space Echo are my main like reverb pedals. I love those.
Who makes the Space Echo?
The Space Echo is Boss.
Okay. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's also big. But they recently made a smaller one, so that might be something to look into for me, just to try to save some space. But I love it because the one side you've got tap tempo, but if you just hold it down, it just oscillates, and I love that sound. I love a weird sound, and that's got a weird sound. So, and then the most boring thing is a Dan Electro EQ, Fish and Chips EQ.
That's not a boring thing. That's a very popular thing.
Yes. But I love it because of the versatility with just an EQ pedal, and it's small, so I can just store it on the edge. And right now I've used it for a lot of things, but right now I'm using it kind of either as an overdrive or as a boost for solos, which has been nice because it has that little volume slider, so I can just turn that up and use it as a boost.
Well, yeah, I'm pushing the mids on that. You've basically, that's kind of a session guy's secret weapon, is that little Boss EQ.
Yeah.
I've thought that I've read that you can pretty much take a tube screamer out of your signal chain if you have one of those and do the mid hump right.
Yep. That's I watched. The reason why I even bought an EQ pedal was because I was watching the JHS show, and they were showing like, look at all this stuff you can do with an EQ, and I was like, well, I gotta get one now, but I didn't want to like invest a whole lot. So they had one at 3rd Street that was used, a Fish and Chips, and I was like, I'm going to start here. And then I never moved on because it does such a good job at what it's supposed to do, and it's tiny, so I love it.
Everybody wants the Fish and Chips. Everybody wants the tremolo, like the mini tremolo.
Yeah.
When they were cheap, like I had friends that would buy them in bulk because they would break every so often. You can't fix them, apparently.
Yeah, that's one thing that did eventually go off the board was I have a JHS Tidewater tremolo. It's a little itty bitty guy, but I didn't use it enough to warrant it staying on. And then I have a Big Muff Micro, and but the hoof it beat it out.
It beats it.
Yeah.
Hold on. I need a drink.
Absolutely. It gives me an excuse to get some water.
All right. So I think you did you do a Wilco post today or something?
Yeah, my story. I've recently begun delving into the world of Wilco.
Talk to me about Wilco, because I don't know, for whatever reason around here, the Wilco fans are few and far between. I'm a pretty
Yes.
big one.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw the Star Wars over there in the
Yes.
record collection.
She did. I still need. I don't think I have Sky Blue Sky in there.
I just got Sky Blue Sky. I
Oh
was over at Three Feather the other day and picked it up. But yeah, I've started listening to that one. I'd been like slowly getting into Wilco, because I Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, that's, good starting spot with that. So I started with that. I then realized that I've kind of like bought everything that's come out after then, just because I was like, oh, it's the Wilco thing. I'm gonna get into them one of these days. So I have Cruel Country, and then the newest one, Cousin. And then I also bought their first album because Three Feather had it, so AM. But I really like, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot's awesome. What I've heard of Sky Blue Sky so far is probably my favorite. I'm going to say it's going to go that way. And then Cousins is really good, that they just put out. I really like that
I'll
album.
have to check that one out. I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, it's a really good album.
As far as Sky Blue Sky, Impossible Germany is probably my favorite.
Oh yeah, yep, that's the one that's been on repeat for me the last couple of days.
It's on repeat for me too. I got to see them. I think it was Aronoff.
Wow.
Jesus, man! Like Nels Klein ripping a solo
Yeah.
on Impossible Germany live. It was the longest solo ever, but it was still captivating.
Yeah.
For as weird as he is and how he likes to experiment with things, like he's also that good technically.
Yeah.
Like he can pull out like a crazy jazz run out of nowhere. And
Yeah, I was watching. There's some I don't remember what venue it was. There's a live video on YouTube of them playing, and Impossible Germany's one in the set, and yeah, that solo is just nuts. But that's also been on repeat. It's just that that concert in particular has been, just throw it on the TV in the background as I'm doing stuff around the apartment.
yeah, it's so weird because it's like, it's not that Jeff Tweedy's voice is good, but it just makes you feel good.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's like a nice warm hug. I always put those albums on fall to winter.
Yep, it's the perfect time for it. It's a very fall band, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping that their tour would come around here, but it doesn't look like it. Although Jeff Tweedy's doing a book tour, and he'll be in the area.
Okay.
So I might check that out. I think it's in November. So if there's nothing else going on, I might go scope that out.
It'd be a cool dude to meet.
Yeah.
I know he's like call him like the grandfather of dad rock or something, but
yeah, I hope they come around here soon. I'd love to see him finally starting to get to see, people in concerts and things. And Jack White was my first one, so that was a awesome experience.
Where
and
at?
Since then, I got to see him at the Icon Center, or the Brady Music Center.
that's a great venue.
Yeah, the sound there's phenomenal. I was like 3 people away from the stage, and it still wasn't like overwhelmingly loud. It was like the perfect amount.
And then on the other side of the river, the Megacorp.
Yeah.
It's basically the same as the Icon.
Yeah, I got to see Cake there, but it was on the outdoor stage. So yeah, but that was both great venues. And I've seen pictures of the inside. Like you said, it looks pretty similar to the Brady.
I've recently been into like really heavy stuff. and I got to see, just in the past few months, I got to see Animals as Leaders.
Okay, yeah.
God, watching Tosin, Rip, and Hector live. I mean, it was cool because I had front row seats, so I could actually see their hands and see everything that they were doing.
Yeah.
But the best, Devin Townsend, I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I don't believe so.
He's an insane songwriter, and I had not heard of him until I went. But his old band was called Strapping Young Lads. They're kind of like they're metal. And then Devin, I guess he was Steve Vai's guitar player for a little bit. I don't know. It totally blew me away because the dude's voice is like beautiful.
Yeah.
Like he can hit so many different octaves and with like power. His playing is off the charts. The dude can play anything he wants. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because Animals as Leaders opened. I was super excited to see them. I immediately got turned on to Devin Townsend, which made my entire night. And then Dream Theater closed.
Okay, yeah.
It was really cool once again to see John Petrucci like right in front of me and watch his
Just
hands.
going crazy, yeah.
God, their singer's awful. I have to admit I left early.
It
was
that bad.
Well, it wasn't like they weren't bad.
Yeah.
It was just like
his voice.
Yeah, I don't know that they should have been headlining that show. I think Devin Townsend should have.
I see.
And luckily, I'm not important enough for any of those guys to ever hear
There
anything.
you go,
So
yeah.
I can talk as much shit as I want. But, the takeaway was Devin Townsend. The other, I'm going to put this right up to the best show that I've ever been to, was a month later, saw Mastodon and Gojira.
Oh, yeah.
God, man, seeing Gojira was like a spiritual experience. I've got the best buzz going on in the world. They come on with like my favorite song and these storm clouds just roll in. It starts raining and I'm just like, I don't know. You see those videos of like Woodstock 94 or whatever. It's like raining. It's muddy. People are lighting shit on fire. I'm like, is this my moment? Am I feeling what they're feeling right now? I don't know. I was just in it. They were perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say best show is definitely Jack White. And, I mean, it was the first, but he's just insane live. You never know what he's gonna do. And that backing band, it was a 4-piece band this time around, and I think that's perfect. You know, I love a good 3-piece band, but adding the keys in there, it definitely adds an element to it. And it's a weird experience because like they don't allow phones at the Jack White show, so you have to put them in a little pouch. And so before the show, we got there super early. I didn't realize how early we got there. And so we had, a good chance of getting towards the front of the stage in general admission, which was awesome. But we get in there. You're without a phone. The whole crowd's without a phone. And you're in the Icon Center. There's no clocks or anything anywhere. There's no windows. So you're just standing around and you're like, I have no idea how much time has passed. But then as soon as that opening act comes on, which it was Geese. Geese was opening.
And I've heard of them. I have not heard them.
They're pretty good. They're kind of Strokes-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love the Strokes.
Yeah, the Strokes are great. And so I enjoyed them. But by the time they went on, because you've just been standing there forever, it was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Because it's... and then when he came on, when Jack White came on, it was just amazing. And then I got the opportunity to get a drumstick that Daru Jones, the drummer, threw out into the crowd.
Dude.
I got... So my first concert really spoiled me. I don't know what's going to top it. But yeah, it fell on the ground and I just dove for it. I had a lady trying to fight me for it, but I'm like, no, I'm not.
Poked her in the eye with
it.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, can I have like a piece of it? I'm like, no, I'm not going to break the drumstick in half,
Yeah.
But
she can kick rocks on your way home, I guess.
Yeah. But no, that was an awesome show. And then besides that, Cake is probably the second. That show, I did not have high expectations going into it because I I'd seen some live footage from recent stuff. I was like, but I think they're still on point. Like they're still just killing it. And it was it was a funny show too. That guy's just got John McCrae's just got I love that dry humor, and he does that very well. So he's doing that throughout the show. And then I would say the third would be Ben Folds. I've gotten lucky. I've gotten to see Ben Folds 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And the first time I saw him was probably the worst show I've been to, just because he feeds really well off of an audience.
Yep.
And that show was in Brown County, Indiana. So you're in the middle of nowhere, and most of the audience are being bussed in from a nearby hotel. So they don't really know who this guy is or kind of what he does. So it's like a lot of boomer aged people sitting in this. Yeah.
Sweet. That's the first time I tried pulling off a
Heck
sound
yeah.
effect.
Hey, you did it. But you're sitting in that crowd, and he's trying to make jokes, but they're not really landing because it's not a target audience, I guess. But yeah, it was exactly like that.
Hey, I'm learning how to use these.
Yeah. Hey, it's immersive, But because they were like, we enjoy this guy, but I don't know. So he would try to talk with the crowd and stuff, and then like after the 5th joke he tried to make, he just kind of shut up and played for the rest of the show. And
Play the song about the abortion.
Yeah. But we got to when I got to see him with the Cincinnati Pops Orchestra. That was a surprisingly awesome show. I mean, it was great getting to hear him with a full, orchestra behind him, and the crowd really understood they were all there for him pretty much. So, lot better experience. And then the last time I got to see him was supposed to be with a full rock band again, which I was really excited for, but then it got postponed. Then it was solo, but I would still say that was his best show I've seen. It was right off the release of his new album, What Matters Most, and it was just a very, very good show.
That's awesome. I haven't spent much time listening to Cake or Ben Folds. It's like I know the popular songs.
Yeah.
I feel like there was Cake, and then there was Beck, and I kind of went the Beck route.
Yeah. I've delved into the Beck world a little bit. I've got a few of his albums. I like his stuff. Yeah.
What's your favorite Beck album?
Ooh, I like Wero a lot. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Like that one. Mutations. I like that one too. Those are probably up there as my top 2 Beck albums. But of course, what's the not Mellow Gold? What's the one after Mellow Gold? I'm blanking.
I need to look this up.
Yeah.
I'm brain farting so bad on the Beck stuff, but
I think it's his second album. That one's fantastic too. So there's really not like a bad Beck album, but
I'm gonna look this up because
yeah, I'm blanking.
It's been a long day. All the stuff that I normally have at the front of my brain is not there. I can tell you my favorites. Studio albums.
Oh, it's Odelay.
There we go.
There it is.
Although it was. So my favorite was Sea Change.
Okay. Yep.
And then I really liked Morning Phase when it came out because it was almost like you just hit Sea Change and it just played all the way through.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't know.
Yeah, I recently got Morning Phase from Main Street Vinyl, and I didn't get too far into it yet, but I would like to give it another spin because I think I only got it halfway, but I think at the time I just wasn't ready for like a kind of slower album.
Right.
So, but right now I'm kind of in that mood. So it might be time to revisit it.
Well, listen to Sea Change first, and then immediately listen to Morning Phase.
I see.
And it's crazy because I think, what are they, a decade apart? when did Morning Phase come out? 2014, and Sea Change, I think, came out in 2002.
Wow.
So 12 years apart.
But they flow seamless.
They flow seamlessly.
Nice.
And that's another thing. I got like 3 bands that I really like that people are just kind of like, man, I'm really into. Uh-oh, Catman snuck in here.
We got the cat.
He's gonna go pee on my stuff. Such an asshole. So yeah, I like Beck, specifically those 2 albums. I like Wilco. Huge Tom Waits fan.
See, I haven't delved into the Tom Waits world yet.
So I'm starting to come to the conclusion that Tom Waits fans are similar to Grateful Dead fans. You either get it or you don't. I do not get the Grateful Dead at all. I don't understand. Like, I love their marketing.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, I've never been able to really get into the Dead. Now, of course, my best friends are very much into the Dead. So, like, Miles. And then there's a great songwriter, musician, Xander Wells. He's been playing in the area a little bit more, but primarily Cincinnati. But
Okay.
he's an awesome guy. But he's now actually playing in a Grateful Dead tribute band.
Dead Centric?
Yeah, Dead Centric. Yep.
They're a good band.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not knocking musicianship. I just, man, I don't know what it is. It hasn't grabbed me. And it's funny because I remember when Miles actually got into the Dead.
Yeah.
He's like, I went on a family vacation. It was, I don't know. I think he said it was like Florida or something like that. He's like, I listened to the Dead for 12 hours on the drive. And he's like, I get it now. Get it. And I'm just like, dude,
You just need to take a 12-hour drive.
I don't want to. I just started working from home, so I don't have to commute.
Yeah, there you go. I don't blame you there.
Yeah, but Tom Waits, if you're going to start with Tom Waits, I mean, since you like the weirdness of Cake, there's definitely that with Tom Waits. Heart of Saturday Night, that album. That's a really good snapshot of normal Tom Waits.
Mm-hmm.
And then weird Tom Waits starts happening in Rain Dogs.
Okay.
So I would suggest those 2 albums in that order.
Mm-hmm. Check them out.
You go down that direction, and it'd be cool to have another Tom Waits fan to talk to.
There you go. There you go.
I have none.
Yeah, also, another songwriter that I didn't mention that I really like is Nick Cave. You listen to any Nick Cave?
No, I listen. Yeah. Okay, do you know Grinder Man?
Yes. His garage rock project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great Halloween album.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, I
Heathen Child.
Yeah, I love Nick Cave. So he's got such a giant discography. It's very overwhelming. So I've only looked at like the late 90s to now kind of, but definitely a big fan of that late 90s, early 2000s when he was getting a little bit more rocking, and when the Grinder Man stuff came out too.
Yeah.
Like, that's about right. But I love his stuff. That's actually my next concert is a week from today. I'm going to Nashville to see him at the Ryman.
Oh, dude.
So I'm pretty stoked about that.
Who you
He's
going
not with
with?
the full band. It's actually with my dad because he's a big Nick Cave fan. So
Man,
we're
that's
gonna.
cool. Your dad likes good music.
Yeah, yeah. I got lucky there. It's weird. He both likes, again, like the Ben Folds Cake, Nick Cave, like songwriter kind of stuff. But then he also loves like 80s hair metal. So it's very much like 2 different camps, but he loves both of them. But yeah, we're going with my aunt to down to the Ryman. So, but it's hymns. It's weird because it's him solo, so no Bad Seeds, no backing band, just him on a piano. Except that he also has Colin Greenwood from Radiohead on bass, and that's his only accompanying instrument.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what it's like.
So I'm wondering, like, so your dad, he's into Nick Cave, and he's into hair metal. So there's obviously, like, What are your earliest musical memories? Like, what imprinted on you?
Yeah, I would say. So actually, one of the things, especially tied to him, was is that Nick Cave has a song called "Abattoir Blues." Very depressing song now that I actually know the lyrics.
Yeah.
But I remember it would. He had his iPod and he would play like a podcast called The Morning Stream. But before it could get to that, it would the iPod would always immediately start playing the first track on it, which was Abattoir Blues. So I remember just the boom boom bada boom boom of the drum intro, and that was always like that's been ingrained in my head forever. And I didn't know what it was, and then eventually I heard it, and I was like, there it is, there it is. That's where it came from. And then Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. That's another early childhood memory.
Okay.
My mom played that one a lot. Also, We Are Gonna Be Friends, which is a White Stripes song, but I did not know that until 2 years ago or so. Probably 3 years ago when I first listened to like a Jack White acoustic set.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I only knew it from Jack Johnson because he did a cover of it for the Curious George movie.
I didn't know he covered that song. I think I heard it. Was it? Did they play that in Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think I heard it first on the Napoleon Dynamite movie, and then I found out like a few years later. I'm like, Jack White wrote that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what was so weird. And especially after growing up my whole life thinking it was a Jack Johnson song from the Curious George movie, to get into Jack White and then hear that, I was like, man, that's weird. He's covering Jack Johnson. And then I was like, nope, he wrote that.
Well, there's quite a few songs. I didn't know the original writers, and it turns out like a few of them. Are you familiar with Big Star?
Yeah. I haven't listened to them a whole lot, but I'm familiar with them.
I think you'd like them. That's right up your alley.
Mm.
I don't know what else I'm going to say about that. Well, okay, so I think it was a song Elliott Smith covered that I just thought was an Elliott Smith song forever, but it's Big Star.
Huh.
And I can't think of the song, dude. My brain isn't working today.
That's like one of my favorite Cake songs that I thought was a Cake song was Guitar Man, but as it turns out, it's a cover of a bread song. So Cake covered bread. It's just amazing.
They probably did it just for that reason.
Oh, I'm sure. But I remember in my mind, and like this was not that long ago. This was probably only a month ago that I found out, because I was sitting at work, and they always play WGRR, so Cincinnati's classic hits or whatever. And I heard
you can hear Nirvana.
Yeah, and I'm like, I know this song, but I'm like, this isn't Cake singing it, and they're not playing Cake on this station. So, and sure enough, it was bread that did it first.
Yeah, it blows my mind like how many songs were written by Bob Dylan but not played by him.
Some of my favorite
Similar
George
thing.
Harrison songs are Bob Dylan written. Like it's so weird.
What else, man? What do you want to tell the world?
Well, I guess I can do. I'll just say that with the Ravens, we just released an album almost a month ago. Called Chasing Saturn. So after about a year's worth of hard work in the studio, we got it out, and it's on all your streaming platforms. And we also have CDs. If you come see us, we'll definitely be in the area. So make sure to follow us on all the Instagram and Facebook. We're not on X or Twitter or whatever. We're not on that, but we are on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
I'll post all the links in the show notes.
Yeah. But yeah, that album, we're really proud of it. So I'd love it if you guys check it out. But and then I've also got my solo stuff, which is what Isle of Elmore, that first song I played, is off of.
Okay.
Which it's off my first album, Important People and Events. So that's just under my name, which is Dravin Downey. But yeah, Dravin and the Ravens, new album out. go give it a listen. Maybe you'll like it.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for coming and doing this, man. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely, man.
Great hearing your songs. We'll have to have you back.
Heck yeah.
When you got another album coming out.
Absolutely. I've had a weird pattern of basically releasing something on like almost the same date every year. So we'll see. Maybe next year on this day there will be something out there. So.
That'll be crazy. It'll be your first release as a full-fledged adult.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Now that I'm officially 20 years old. So,
yeah. Well, next year you can roll in here with a strawberry vape and
yeah, we can go wild.
Yeah. Well, awesome, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.